Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tumble Through.
Tumble through.
Okay, I was waiting for that.
We weren't going to leave you hanging, don't worry.
That's usually my stick, so I'm very honored that y'all came in and followed through. My name is Aida. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a Latina woman of color, and I'm an immigrant in the Netherlands. I'm going to let my cool friends introduce themselves in a quick bit, because we're here instead of playing our amazing campaign game. We're going to talk about the people behind the campaign for a bit. What we've been up to, what's doing in our minds, what you can look forward to, maybe not, probably not. But we're going to have a little bit of fun. Mostly because the GM is away and we're going to play.
Mods asleep. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Anna. I use them pronouns. I am a queer and neurodivergent writer and TTRPG player from the Netherlands. And yeah, I am excited to have this little talk. It's always fun to talk about the game you're in.
Hi, kia ora. I'm Evan. Pronouns he, him. I'm a Māori guy from Aotearoa, New Zealand, but I live in the UK. And I like to play TTRPGs because I'm a massive nerd. And I was very honoured to be asked to be a cast member on the show. So yeah, I'm hyped.
Hello, I'm Markus. Pronouns are he, him. I'm a German boy living in the Netherlands, and I've been playing tabletop RPGs for more than 2 decades, and I am very excited and having a lot of fun in this Pathfinder game with these fantastic people.
Sweet. Speaking of fantastic people, when I got invited and I saw the cast list, I was like, perfect. I know all these people, and I'm fairly sure we all knew each other, or at least had one degree of separation from each other. So we're here because ultimately we're friends, or we became friends because we're nerds. We're giant nerds, as Evan said, because we're really cool people. I'm going to stand by that, whether or not your mood suggests or agrees in the moment, but you are. But I was also curious what our respective Pathfinder experiences were. And I can start first in a little bit. I had played Starfinder with Krifu, and I was marginally familiar because I had played a very short little campaign with Markus a million years ago as well. So I was marginally familiar, having played D&D 5e for many, many years in other TTRPGs. But I was quite concerned about my lack of familiarity with Pathfinder. I was absolutely in a fake it till you can make it. I still am in that mentality, but I'm having fun. I definitely see it as one of the crunchier games I've played, but I feel that can be a big comfort of mine. My brain needs to go a million rotations a minute. I need to be taking notes. And with all the things happening in Pathfinder mechanically, my brain is starting to find its happy place, but it's still a struggle bus there. So I'll open it up. Cool people who are all friends, and we're all here. But one thing different about us was definitely our Pathfinder experience. Who wants to share theirs?
Yeah, I mean, my first ever tabletop game was Pathfinder First Edition. But it is very different because that was years ago when I played that with one of my it was an actual real life game, one of my friends DMing, and then that campaign ended and I didn't really think about Pathfinder anymore. And then a year ago I was invited to play Pathfinder Second Edition, and I remember looking into it and like making a character. I'm like, oh, this is very different from what I remember. I'm like, this is a bunch more rules suddenly, and I was like, oh, this is not at all what I thought it was, but not in a bad way, more just like this is different. When I got asked for some Pathfinder games with Krifu to, kind of test for this podcast.
Wow. Did you know you were being tested? Did you know it was a dry run interview?
No, it was an interview. It was Krifu Krifu had just mentioned, like, oh, I'm trying to assemble a podcast, but I want to, do some tests, like some one-shots.
Okay,
so to see, like,
it wasn't a surprise.
It wasn't a surprise. I knew what he was looking for, but he just wanted to sort of, because I think he was also quite new to running it, if I remember correctly. Or at least with those rules. So
that's modest of him to say. I think he's very experienced.
I'm not sure how long ago that is. Maybe it's been a few years.
I don't remember. Honestly, I have ADHD. My memory is very poor. Don't always take what I say with a grain of salt at this point. Yeah, I mean, I will say I join you. I also am just faking it till I make it. I'm someone who understands rules better when I play. And I keep telling myself I need to look into lore, and then every time I do it a little bit, and then I realize there's a lot more lore, and I don't think I'll ever find all of it.
Don't believe them. Don't believe.
No.
You don't need to
On
know
that
lore.
note, Evan, what
Oh.
was your experience? And I think you might have something to say about lore as based on your character. But what was your experience or assumptions or concerns about Pathfinder?
So, full transparency, I've been D&D since the 80s.
We forgive you.
Yep. The red box. I was always a bit Pathfinder curious and had the opportunity to dip a toe into Galarian.
It's okay, Evan. We all experiment from time to time. So
Yeah. I didn't know. I wanted a TTRPG around, all right? So... some colleagues played Pathfinder, and they were about to start a new campaign. I think it was Kingmaker. I think that's what it's called.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
yeah.
So Mark's like excited about that.
Nerd.
Yeah, and I was like, and they were like, yeah, we've got space at the table. This was pre-COVID. I was like, yeah, join. But we all played online. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I'm gonna. I've never played before, so I'm gonna start off with an easy character like an Oracle. That sounds easy. No, it was not easy. And these were pro Pathfinder players, hardcore. They loved the crunch. They were IT nerds. They absolutely loved how crunchy it was. They had their characters planned all the way to level 20 or something beyond, right from the beginning. And they knew exactly what kind of experience and loot to expect from certain levels of the game. And I'm like,
Oh no, they were meta.
yeah, they were so meta. So
I'm so
meta.
sorry.
Yeah, and that was my first experience, and I was like, I lasted a couple of sessions. I was like, it's yucky. I don't want to play anymore. So they NPC'd my sweet Oracle and just made her like the heal bot for the rest of their campaign. Oh, bless. She had a villain arc eventually, I heard, so that was great. But I got to also play more recently with my brother Jacob. He plays Pathfinder. And he wanted to run. I offered to produce it a AP of Gatewalkers. So we did that for a couple of sessions until he had a baby and then didn't have any time. It's inconvenient.
Inconvenient indeed.
Yeah, but we also ran the beginner box. Well, you know, Atari, Troubles in Atari,
Troubles in Atari? Yep. Troubles in Atari.
Yeah, and I used the NPC Mariziel, I think her name was, the rogue. Yep, I got killed with the dragon at the end. I was like, I've got dark vision, I'm going to run around the corner. And I was like, you see nothing, it's pitch black. And I was like, the dragon can see you, bites you, and you ran into a cave where no one else can see you because it's pitch black. And so no one could heal me.
To be fair, that dragon at the end, or maybe just, okay, if you're planning to play the beginner box, put your hands on your ears now. That dragon at the end of the beginner box is rough.
Far out.
Rough.
That was a rough encounter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, it took me out, clean out. Just like, I was dying in a dark corner of a cave where no one could find me. And that was it. That was it.
And now you're back for more.
Yeah, now I'm back with some lovely people and enjoying it, thoroughly enjoying it. It's not as, I don't have the fear of the Pathfinder as much as I used to. And in fact, I'm enjoying some of the crunch.
Ooh. We have one other lovely person you mentioned, Evan. That's our friend Markus here.
Yeah, this is my very first tabletop RPG. I have no clue on how any of this works. What are dice? No, I'm kidding.
You lie.
No, I'm
Sit
kidding.
on a throne of lies.
We're doomed. If this is Marcus's actual statement, if this was the truth, we're all doomed because Markus is the person we're constantly asking, how does that work? How do you make that do thing? Ah?
Yeah. The one-eyed in the kingdom of the blind. No, I actually have. I got into Pathfinder also by way of D&D 5th edition. If you would have asked teenage me, like back when I was 20 years younger, and you would have asked me if I would ever play Pathfinder, I would have scoffed at you and give you my most pretentious look that the only TTRPGs I play are narrative-driven theaters of the mind, and I do not play those D20 games. And here I am now making a podcast with Pathfinder. What got me
Was
into
this
Pathfinder?
the same Marcus playing vampire still, or was this before?
Yes, that was kind of semi-gothy Marcus who was into
Oh
Vampire
my
the Masquerade.
gosh.
Join the Patreon to see photos of coffee.
I need
Marcus.
photos. I was gonna say I need photos from that goth era.
No
I've
promises.
seen one from
Asterisk.
2008,
Sorry.
a little while ago.
Continue.
That's paywall material right there.
That's absolute paywall material. No, I got into Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I briefly tried 1st Edition all the way back when it came out, but that really wasn't my jam. And Pathfinder 2nd Edition only got on my radar as I started to get a bit bored with D&D 5th Edition. I ran multiple long-running campaigns in D&D 5th Edition. I think I've had players playing all different kind of classes at my table. I've done campaigns of more than 50, 60, 70 sessions long. So it's not that weird that you get a little bit bored with a game that you've run so much. And so I started to dip my toes around, look around, and then people told me, you should definitely check out Pathfinder. I said, I'm Pathfinder? Why should I do this crunchy game? That is way too many rules. I cannot deal with this. But I started reading up on it, started listening to podcasts of it, and I found out that for me, the game has the right amount of crunch, and also it is structured in a way that I can understand why something works how it works. Because I've had in my experience, I have played crunchy games that had rules that had me going, why does this work like this? Why are you making this so complicated? But in Pathfinder, 9 out of 10 times, I can understand, like, okay, this rule is here for this reason. And this works like this because there's a really clear design intent behind it. And that's something that I really enjoy about the game. And now I'm recording this podcast with you. I have a home game that's playing through the Abomination Vaults. We're almost 50 sessions in on that. And if I had more time in my life, I would be starting up 3 more groups to run them through all the adventure path that I want to still run. I have like a pile of them. They're PDFs, so if I like gesture that I have a pile of them, that makes no sense because PDFs are not physical. But you can imagine I have
Those are stacks of SSDs.
The stacks of SSDs, it's piling up behind me, right out of sight of you, of adventures that I want to run in it. And I'm really fond of this game. I love it. It's great.
To channel our GM Krifu for this campaign, I recall him saying that one of the things he really likes about Pathfinder is the design intent and the way the system ultimately is quick to adjudicate things for you. Whereas in D&D, or one common criticism, depending on how you play D&D, of course, 5e especially, is you're the GM, you're the DM, you're in charge. What you say goes. You can interpret it, you can tweak it however you want. And it sort of got to the point where I can understand. Imagine like 2 kids playing, and it says like, "Oh, I slashed you with my sword. No, I pulled up my shield of infinity. Well, I have a sword of infinity plus 10. No, I have a unicorn ultima shield. No, and we kind of just devolve, and that felt very D&D after a while. If you don't have one person or clear rules to determine that. But with Pathfinder, with design intent and modules, etc., channeling Krifu, and I agree with this sort of sentiment overall that, DMs can overall just kind of play the game depending on their play style, but there's openness to that.
But it can at the same time still feel at the start a bit intimidating, and I'm kind of interested also. This is a question to like, for example, for Anna and Evan, and also to you, Aida. When you started getting into Pathfinder, looking at all the terminology that the game throws at you, because if you're just diving in, you're dealing with different modifiers, you're building a character, and already at level 1, you're picking 4 separate feats for that character. There's a lot more complexity to it. What was your first impression when you dipped into a game like this? How did you deal with the options, with the overwhelming options and rules at the start, or at least what felt overwhelming at the start?
I mean, it's a bit. I think it was laid out well enough that I could get it, because I've had it before. You were mentioning Vampire the Masquerade before. That is, for example, one rulebook that is very inaccessible to me, because I just do not understand the way it's laid out. I cannot find anything. And when I first started playing that, and I had to make character, I got so overwhelmed that I was just like, okay, can someone please tell me what I need to do, because I don't get it. Where with Pathfinder, I found that yes, there is a lot of information, but it's quite easy, even with like a simple Google search sometimes, to find out like what it does. And I don't know. I am someone who, if I see something I don't know what it is, I get curious and I look it up. I'm quite an, I guess, inquisitive person and a curious person in that sense. And sometimes I dove really deep into something. Like I'll click like, on like the official website, I'll click like a rule and I'm like, oh, how does that work? And then it has like a hyperlink to something else and I'll click that and like I just kind of like get stuck in like these deep dives of rules. Yeah, I think it was structured enough that with a little bit of time and some research on my part, I could figure it out. And I feel now, after playing it for a while, that I think I have a pretty decent grasp on how things work. At least at the base of the game. There will still be things that I'll do something, and then Krifu or Markus will go like, "Oh no, actually, you gotta do this," or like, "Actually, this applies." And like, "Oh, okay." But that's also how I learned. I learned through play. So
I will also say that this guidance comes very gently with kind intentions.
Oh yeah,
and it's always very welcome.
Yeah, absolutely, it's very welcome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just go yelling at you like, what the heck are you
You're
doing?
doing it wrong.
This is so terrible. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And Evan.
For my experience, I look at Pathfinder and its lore and its rules like a dark lake. And I don't know the depths of it, and it does go deep. And I am literally in the shallows on the edge of this dark lake, very, very surface level regarding rules and lore. But that doesn't stop me enjoying it. What I have found when I first started getting into it was I do really like the 3-action economy. I think that's the game is balanced, super balanced. I have used tools like Path Builder to mess around with combinations of characters and to figure out how my best use of putting my abilities together and my feats and stuff. Not to optimize, but not be completely trash when I get into a session, because one thing I did find out quite quickly is that Pathfinder is very unforgiving as a system. Comes to an encounter, you can be, it doesn't take much, and you could be dying too in the blink of an eye. Yeah. So, which is good because I think it forces you to consider your actions very carefully instead of like, I'm not slagging 5e. I played it a lot. I love it. It's my comfy jumper that I put on with my friends. But Pathfinder, you just have to be very considered with your actions. There's not the hand waving of 5e that you can get away with.
Yeah, I think to add onto that, the thing you said with the 3 actions I have to consider. I had a conversation about this with Pan, who's unfortunately couldn't be here today. If you've got the 3 actions, especially if you're doing spells and such, how let's say in a combat you've got an enemy who is hurting your party members, but also you've got someone who is in need of healing, you can figure out, okay, what's more important right now? Like, is the enemy on death's door as well? Or is it important that we have someone else who can do damage potentially? And then you can, say, like, okay, I'll spend one action on like one heal, a small heal to help them. And, if doing damage is more important in that aspect, you can use the other 2 actions to do damage. And I think in that way, you can, with the 3 actions, you can be a little bit more strategic in what you do.
Yeah. I appreciate that overall, especially early levels, and most games too, but talking about Pathfinder 2e, that there are stakes. There are mechanical stakes, and you feel them. And that's an impetus immediately. Like, I better get to know the rules. And like Anna was saying, that thankfully there are resources that help us out. Granted, I think one of the things I overall missed is, shade or not, D&D Beyond as a character builder tool was really, really helpful and easy to figure out, and intuitive and very accessible. And then a lot of people then made a lot of additional guides and tools. And there's 1,000,001 videos on how to make your characters, how these bonuses work. there's maybe a little less than a million, like 500,000. I'm saying numbers off the top of my head for Pathfinder. But as you go to other games, there's less and less of those videos. So luckily that there's enough community content to help us answer those questions. Thankfully, there's fan wikis, archives of Neseth, for example, to help us out. What other games don't really have that? Going through the Vampire Masquerade book, that was hard because I didn't really have access to the cool character mancer or Pathfinder character builder that there is. And one thing I want to use from Evan's comments to leapfrog into is that dark pool of mechanics and lore. Pathfinder 2e lore is something I'm very, very new in. And I was also very comfortable in that cozy sweater of D&D lore of Forgotten Realms. Okay, I'll learn Eberron now too. Oh, I'll learn Dreamscape now too.
Oh, you nerd.
What the hell is going on now in Galaria and the particular setting we're playing in, which is kind of the next topic I want to jump into. I was down to play Pathfinder. I was like, yeah, Krifu, cool. This cast sounds awesome. What is it we're playing? A Council of Thieves? Tappy soins. What is this? Oh shit, this is dark. Okay. With this table? Fuck yeah. What were y'all's impressions about hearing the world and setting that we were playing in, about the Council of Thieves world, about Cheliax, about the fact that our world campaign is canonically very, in terms of grim and potentially outright mature and heavy topics, up there? What were your thoughts or impressions on that?
When I heard Cheliax, it was funny because the other campaign I'm in that I started with Pathfinder 2nd edition is it's a whole different campaign, but one of the antagonists there is our Cheliax, people from Cheliax. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I know who these people are, and they're bad, or at least the people in the campaign were. But I am personally someone who loves like dark and gritty games. I love like things like Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green, Heart, all those kind of, like, I love it when a game gets a little dark. So when I found out that was very much something that applied to this game, I got even more excited. I was like, that's great. I'm so here for that.
Before we got into that campaign, I remember that Krifu was looking for the right adventure path to take and have us as a group run through. I remember that he was considering like, okay, which would be interesting, what would be, which one would really match the tone that we can run for. And I was at first pretty surprised that Krifu went for an adventure path from first edition from Pathfinder, meaning that there's a lot of conversion that needs to happen to get it to second edition. So props to Krifu for putting in the work for that. But tone-wise, once I got reading through the player's guide, which is something really cool that Paizo, the publishers of Pathfinder, do for practically every adventure path, there's a player's guide that they offer that gives you for a player background information on the campaign. I was reading through it and I was thinking like, this is some real street level gritty stuff we're getting into. And I am glad in that regard that we got this table of people together who kind of knew each other. We know what we were about. And I knew that even if we would run into topics where we need to touch base with each other and establish, are these the kind of topics we want to go into? How do we want to run them in the game? That we could have that conversation about them. Because I am personally very fond of dark and heavy topics. But at the same time, I also understand that we're people playing a game together and we want to have fun in that game. And we need to, before we delve into those dark and heavy topics, we need to align in expectations and lay out some ground rules. And I think that was one of my first things that got into me when I read up on Council of Thieves. And spoiler alert, I think we had some good conversations on that. And I think we are very aligned in that regard. And I feel even more encouraged to delve in some probably pretty heavy topics in this show while also playing a great game together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the highlights for TTRPGs for me is I know it's going to sound cheesy as like exploring my feelings and emotions, and a lot of the stuff that you wouldn't normally do day to day.
Exactly.
So that's a great out. That's a great kind of like safe area for us to mess about with our emotions. I, as a DM for many games, I ask my players, in your backstories, give me daggers if you're happy to have me use them against you. And as a player, I'm exactly the same. I'm here, take these daggers, hurt me.
Yeah, just hurt me. Come on, let's go.
But yeah, the setting of Council of Thieves, I was in my mind, I don't know if you're familiar with the series, the Gentlemen Bastards,
Yes.
the Lies of Loch Lamora,
Yes.
by Scott Lynch, and that kind of setting is how Council of Thieves feels for me.
Such a good comparison. I had not yet made the connection, but yes, absolutely. Lies of Loch Lamora.
Yeah. If you haven't read it, read it. It's an incredible series. And it deals with that thieves guilds, politicians, corruption, in a fantasy setting. And the thieves themselves are so freaking epic. It's amazing. So I was like, oh yeah, I love that. I know that the party are going to be great and edgy, but my character probably won't be. So it'll be a good balance. But yeah, that's how I pictured this setting.
Also considering the setting, we're set up in West Crown in the nation of Cheliax, which is a part of the Pathfinder setting that has a lot of established lore in it, but that also within the timeline of Pathfinder had some very important things in the meta plot and in the lore happening within the last years of in-game time. So for me as a Pathfinder nerd, or lore nerd in that regard, I was also really excited to be like, oh, we're in that part of the world. We're going to explore that bit. My character is going to be in a place that had some very big things historically happen there, and perhaps will play a role in having more of those happen. That's the kind of stuff that gets me excited.
I think one thing in particular that made me excited was especially Paizo's stance in the recent years compared to other gaming companies, where they're like, we recognize that opinions, language, understanding have changed over the last few years, even recently, quickly. Things and ideas that were okay and greedy before are not as okay and are cringe and should be discarded or talked with more nuance today. And understanding that Council of Thieves is not that old, like we're not talking about first edition D&D level old, advanced D&D level old, but still fairly old. I think it was
2009. I just looked it up. It's August 2009.
That's a lifetime ago. And especially when I heard about the cast, I'm like, I know without a shadow of the doubt, people are going to be receptive, as much as Paizo has been receptive in the previous years, to there are elements in the story that we can absolutely, the dark ones, we can explore with a level of vulnerability, with a level of nuance, and with a level of care. There are absolutely certain elements, even I've come to say, you know what? We're doing a bingo card of traumas and dangers and harm for the characters. I'm going to draw a line at like this one other thing. I'd rather not have this instead. Here's a really cool lore or alternative to that happened that fits it with the story. Spoiler alert, it was slavery. I was like, everything. I'm just like, not the slavery. There's enough happening. There's femicide happening. Let's explain it this other way. Let's do it that other way while still keeping with the gritty themes. And we're going to have the space to explore it. And we're going to have the space to punch the bad people, resolve and make those differences in that world, which I'm excited to see in long form campaigns. You don't really get to delve into those into short-term campaigns as easily.
And I think if you're listening to this, you are already a few episodes into our story, you might have already picked up that we've been changing a few of these things in the established lore of Pathfinder, of the setting we're in. But those changes were made in conversation with each other. Those changes were made because we want to make sure that we present also a story that we would like to have a part in And I think that was one of the things that was happening behind the scenes as we were setting up this game that got me thinking like, okay, this is a bunch of people where I can also talk about these things with them beforehand, and where I know if we ever run into something that would make me uncomfortable or what I would rather have in a different way, I could bring that up and we could talk about it. Because as Evan just said, to me, a tabletop RPG is also a way to explore emotions. And the only way for me to explore my emotions is to do that while feeling safe at a table. And I know with the conversations I have with people here, with the group here, I know I could feel safe here to explore whatever kind of emotion is I want to explore. And that's just a really great thing to have.
Feelings. Let's talk about some more feelings.
Love me some feelings. Give me all of them.
So we mentioned up the role our characters play. And I want to do a brief exercise here. I'm going to go around and say, like, think about the word cloud that your character would generate. So you think about your character. What are the most common words to describe their personality and their goals? Think about them. Don't share them quite yet. Because then I want to ask the other players, what do you think is in that other character's word cloud? And I want to see if those things match.
Oh my god!
So take a couple of words, keep in your head or type them out or somewhere so we can later match up and say, how off the mark were we? Am I giving off the right impression?
I'm gonna use pencil and paper.
Oh, wow. This is a nice on-the-spot question.
My adjectives are not very positive, and I don't know. But because we know things about our characters, we're only just a handful of sessions in. Are those things coming through? Are we in for a surprise? And we're here to meta a little bit. We're not here to spoil necessarily. And for the listeners, we have access to our characters' base goals, base histories. But we're just cool like that, and we know how to live in this moment, and we know how to read the room.
And it's also a good exercise in seeing how we've presented our characters so far.
Oh yes, true.
I got a few words.
Okay. I got a few words. Okay. So I'll start to put myself on the spot. So I'm going to give a brief introduction or a brief bio of what my character is. And I'm going to invite you all afterwards to give me the word salad you think associates with my character. And then I'll share what I have written. Now we're going to compare, and I'll hold my hands and cry a little bit later. So I'm playing Sombra. Sombra's pronouns are she, they. Sombra is a bright fetchling or Kayal, and she is a monk. She was born in West Crown. She is part of this group because she has people that she wants to protect. And the town, its politics, its leaders, its society have kind of forced the community around Sombra to dig in, be incredibly defensive, to try to escape, to try to deny who they are themselves in order to survive. And this is the kind of environment that Sombra has grown up in. She wasn't able to be who she was. She was forced to be other things in order to survive. And now she's trying to find out who she is, somewhat alone, but at the same time fiercely protective of who knows what still. So what are y'all's word salads for Sombra so far after 5 episodes? Oh dear, what an entry she made. Go ahead.
I've got 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I've got efficient,
Well, that's a good one.
Yes.
but also reckless.
Yeah. In that similar vein, direct.
Yeah,
To the point.
Yes.
Direct.
Yeah.
Yep. I've got no nonsense and bossy.
Yes, I had that. I had no nonsense as well. I also go
one. Yeah. Boss
Yeah.
is good.
problem solver is what I had as well, and like go getter, confident, those kind
Confidence, good, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that feedback. The word salad I had for Sombra was angry, quick to fight,
Yep.
Stubborn, impatient, protective, brave, disrespectful.
Ooh, nice.
That is a volatile combination of things.
Yeah.
But I appreciate this little exercise because I'm like, you know what? I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that as a player because there are some things that are said as like, I would love to her to focus more on this or that or have her grow towards this or grow away from that. Thank you for those notes. Who wants to go next?
I wouldn't mind offering up my boy Zekun.
Give us a little bio and then we're going to give you some words.
So Zekun is a Grave Orc Oracle who is originally not from West Crown, but came here from the Gravelands, an area that has been, or more specifically from the lands of the Belkson Orcs, an area that has been struggling with a lot of warfare, a lot of fighting against the undead under the rule of the Whispering Tyrant. And he has been coming to West Crown to help the orcs of the Belkson Holds, who have been offered a new home here in West Crown, who are making a home in the Pietra, which is an old prison in West Crown that is now becoming a very large and vibrant community of orcs. So I'm wondering, after these first sessions we had, what's been your impressions of the oracle of the party?
I had selfless, caring, calm, and level-headed. Those are my impressions.
Already like on the opposite end of Sombra, like
Pretty much
Yes.
polar opposite.
polar opposites. Yeah.
I have Daddy, and because it's Zekun, Zaddy.
Big zaddy energy.
It's a big zaddy. Oh, God.
That's going on merch.
You're welcome. I have patient, but when I put patient, I almost put like the kind that has been abused by others.
Oh, that's interesting. This is really interesting. This is a really interesting point. I am glad you mentioned that. I want to put a pin in that one for now because I don't want to
Okay.
interrupt the flow here. But that's an interesting one that you mentioned.
What
Yeah.
words you got?
So I've got honorable,
Oh.
and dependable. So a couple of they're quite similar. But then there's a dark side, and I didn't know how to make it into one word. So it carries trauma.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, what was your list?
I started on my own as old. Especially my character is, I think, age-wise, if we would compare ages of characters in the party, I think he's the oldest of the group.
Likely.
So old.
Friendly and supportive. And I didn't put what Evan mentioned there about trauma, didn't put that on there yet because I didn't think at this point that would have shown. So I was like, that's unfair to them to have that on there. But going by your responses, you're already checking in with that vibe there. So I am apparently putting something down that you're picking up.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I've just been if that's just come off the sort of backstory that we've had with my character and your character, and maybe that's what in our role play. I'm seeing bits of it, and maybe I'm seeing it because of what I know about our two characters. Yeah, maybe.
No, I think I can see it because I think a lot of people who are very selfless have some kind of trauma, like in some kind of way or form. At least I've noticed.
Ouch.
Yeah, no, it's something I usually, because I think I like when I see Zekun heal people and then hurt from it. And I did click like, oh, there might be something there.
Masking. That's a good word.
My metaphors are never subtle. My metaphors are always out in the open. So
I love
that's
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. This is an interesting. Thanks for putting this exercise together, Aida. This is fun.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to touch back on, or should we go on?
Yeah,
Or
no, I
later?
think no. I think the bit also I did you mentioned about the might have been some abuse in the past there. I think that hooks into like that trauma, and I think this also hooks into the more darker themes that we explore in this campaign. Let's see in the future what kind of role that plays, but already interesting that people are aware of that.
Okay, and Anna.
Yeah, so I'm playing Lowen, he, they pronouns, who is a Hellspawn Nephilim wizard, specifically wizard of, I think it's called Universalist.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's essentially, he homeschooled, he taught him, he's self-taught, essentially. He was born and raised in West Crown. He currently lives in the more, I guess, poorer areas where he is a criminal. But as has been hinted at in a little bit in the episodes, that he has likely a more noble past, or he is connected in some way to people in higher up. But I'm not gonna spoil that. But yeah, that is Lowen. I don't know what other people's impressions are so far.
I got a first impression from Lowen, or for Lowen. Cocky.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I got pretentious, which is similar, I think.
Yeah.
I have bored.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have hedonist.
Oh.
Okay.
And I think all the other words I have are synonyms of hedonism, so.
I got edgy because so edgy.
Yeah. Very edgy.
But I also wrote like closed as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some masking element in there, which maybe some of that aloofness or cockiness is also a bit of a mask.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track.
What were your own words or description salads for Lowen?
I had sly, competitive, clever, distrusting, obsessive, arrogant, and sarcastic.
Sarcastic, I think, is one.
Yeah.
A very
Sarcastic,
concise word
yeah.
for that.
Yeah. So I think was about the sort of closeness definitely matched with the distrusting. He definitely doesn't trust people straight away, and I think that's on the right path there. And I always feel bad a little bit when I'm playing an asshole, but it's also really fun.
It's so much fun to play an asshole.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
This is not the segue I intended, but our friend and other player Pan isn't here, and next time we have this kind of discussion, we're going to have this exercise with their character Flint.
Yes.
Not the segue I intended, not what I meant.
How about Evan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hi.
Please.
So I am playing Nico, a rainfall orc druid. His background is a chef, a cook, and he's actually a traveling chef from Matangi Hold in the Mwangi Expanse. So Matangi is like a stronghold of orcs in the middle of the Mwangi Expanse, who are known for their demon hunting abilities, apparently. He's moved from there. He's moved out, he's broadened his horizons, traveled around, picking up recipes from the different cultures that he meets along the way, and he's washed up in West Crown. He's got a little familiar as a druid. There was a leshy, a little guy called Bugo, who is like a mushroom with a curled
Arms for Fugo!
Arms for Fugo! He doesn't have arms.
Hands for Hugo.
Yeah, I think it was hands.
Hands for
Hugo.
Hugo.
So one of those things
nubbins.
about, the Pathfinder that pops up is, you don't know that, you've gone and commissioned art for your familiar who's got hands and arms and legs, but then your GM says no. No, taking those off you.
Hands for Fuko.
To speak for someone who's not here to defend himself in this conversation, there is still the option for Fugo to get hands.
Yeah, okay.
Do they come with opposable thumbs?
That
They
is an
better.
option included, yeah.
Apparently, when I rest, we can choose new abilities for your familiar. We will have hands for Fugo.
Excellent. Who has some words to describe Nikau before Evan shares what his internal list for Nikau might be?
I mean, I had quite a few.
Go on then.
But I had kind-hearted, optimistic, creative, but I also added a note not to be underestimated.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Not to be underestimated was also on my list. Because I think that's also the impression I got. I think it's one in the first episode where we basically have Nico on what most of us interpreted as a date in that point. They were like, oh, this is so cozy. But then one or two episodes later, we have Nico slinging those needle dart spells and the like. And I'm like, there's some more to this cook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like there was that American martial artist who was really terrible. Oh, Seagal, Steven Seagal.
Oh,
Mhm.
God.
And he always played a chef who turned out to be like this, this killer martial artist that would just beat up a zillion people. That's not my character. He's not based on Steven Seagal.
That was actually the plot of Steven Seagal's monster hit Under Siege, where he is a cook on that battleship.
Oh no, I've been called out. My character background has been revealed.
I watch martial arts shows and animes right before playing my monk to get good description ideas of my fights. I will never watch Steven Seagal things because one, he doesn't even do his own stunts.
No,
he needs
exactly.
a stunt double to sit up or go upstairs. Blech.
Wow,
Anyway.
spoilers, geez.
The words I had for Nikau, I agree with everything that Anna and Markus were saying. Words I will add, I had curious and happy-go-lucky.
Absolutely happy-go-lucky. Yep. And
I feel-
optimistic. I like that. Optimistic, kind-hearted, happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, I think there's kind of this. We have this spectrum in the party of the going from edgelord to happy-go-lucky.
Sorry.
And we're covering the entire spectrum. We have a rainbow of diversity on that spectrum.
We do.
Yeah.
Evan, what were your own words for Nikau?
I think just adding to Marcus, you need that spectrum in a party, especially for entertainment's sake as well. We've got
fun,
listeners.
it's fun.
If we're all just we're gonna be all in cloaks with daggers and be like, oh, here they go, the night killers are out again. So
Stab the night.
yeah. So the words I had for Nico were strong, Labrador energy.
Yes.
Caring and community.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cool.
I love that.
All right. It'd be cool to check in the future if the word has changed before for the group's perspective and from the player's perspective of that character specifically. And in the future, when we have Pan along with us in these chats, we're going to get that perspective from Flint. I don't think it's fair to do it without Pan here to defend her character.
I like that. I think that's a good idea because we're very new to our characters, and once traumas are revealed or things happen to us, they can send our characters on completely different emotional paths. So it might change. Yeah.
Yeah, the character growth would be interesting to also see if we're once we're 50 sessions later on, did some of these characters really change in significant ways? That would be really cool to look back on.
So actually, that ties in perfectly for the final segment I wanted to talk about. I wanted to suggest or invite us here to look into the camera, and it's not being recorded for video, but look into yourself and talk to future Aida, future Markus, future Anna, future Evan. I don't know when we're going to have these chats again, in another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 episodes, etc. But I want you to talk to your future selves what is it you want your future self to learn or hear, or what are your wishes past you for future self? And I'll start to give an example. You don't have to take it as seriously or as light as you want it. It's completely yourself. And I think I'll change what I want after hearing all of your wonderful messages to yourselves. But okay. Hi, Aida. It's me from episode 5. I hope you're doing well. I'm proud of you for taking on this endeavor. I hope you've maintained good friendship with these people, good openness in communication and encouragement. Don't forget to encourage yourself as much as you encourage them. But also, I need to tell you, remind you, and I hope you get this right by whenever you hear this again, that flurry of blows is immediately 2 attacks on 1 action. And if you want to go for another attack, that's a single action. It's 1 unarmed action on the 3rd attack with that minus penalty. Please remember this for future reference. You're struggling now. You're going to be an expert in this in the future, right? Right? Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad we had this talk. I'm proud of you, future Aida, for having this memorized and perfectly implemented every time. Also, this is past Aida talking to future Sombra. Sombra, you're such a hard ass. Seriously. And I know why you're a hard ass, because I made you a hard ass. But I really hope that someone, somewhere, or something has pushed the right buttons and you had a release. You need it, girl. I hope you cried your fucking eyes out. I'm hoping this for you. Love, Aida. Who has a letter to future self?
I have one, yes. Hi, future Anna. Please, for the love of the gods, remember what the spell tags do. I am begging you. Also, while you're at it, please try and remember the combat rules that don't concern your character, or at least don't concern your spells, because you keep forgetting them. Also, remember, you have an inventory, and there's stuff in that inventory, and you always forget about your inventory. Please remember that there is useful things in there. Other than that, I hope you have a lot of fun, and good luck. As for Lowen, Lowen, I want you to know that you didn't deserve any of that, and I hope that you can let go and find something else to do. Get a hobby or something. Have some introspection, get a hobby, and I hope you find peace. That's it.
Wow.
Good luck.
Beautiful. Who
Yeah.
else has a letter? Who wants to share their letter?
Hello, future Markus. This is now Markus, and this is for you. First of all, the curse-bound condition on your character will not drop if you never refocus outside of combat. This is a 10-minute activity, as you damn well know. You can do that while the rest of your party is talking about what they're doing. Don't let your curse-bound go up. Don't do it. And second of all, yes, you're playing a spellcaster. I know the Oracle's gimmick is cool with the curse, but you also have other spells you can use. Make sure you put them to good use. To Zekun, you're trying something pretty new in your life. You're trying to build something this time, which is similar to trying to heal, trying to put bandages on wounds, but it is pretty new to you. And the thing is, with trying something that's new to you, is that you're gonna mess up here and there. Don't worry about the mistakes. Accept them. Learn from them. Who knows where they'll get you? Signed, Present Markus.
Nice.
Lovely. Like it. So yeah, hi future Evan. It's Evan from the now. I would say just go with the flow. There are other people who know the rules better than you. Don't be afraid to ask. If you're unsure about something, an action that you need to do, or you don't know what to do with your turn, ask. People are more than willing to help out. There might even be people in the audience in the same situation and go, "Oh yeah, that's that. I relate to that." So, hi Nico, it's your mum from Nine Walls back in Matangi Hold, and go out there. You've got a gift. You've got a good heart. You can touch people's lives with your food, and your magic, and your heart. So make sure you carry that goodness and spread it wherever you go. Always listen to what people have to say. Everyone has a story that you can learn from, and don't fall for the first pretty green-haired tattooed guy that comes your way. Okay? Love you.
Aww. I kind of want to almost forget about these letters and like listen a million sessions later.
Time capsules.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I will forget. I have ADHD. And like,
Just record
this time
it.
next week. This time next week, it's gone.
All right. It has been a pleasure catching up with everyone here.
This was nice
Yeah,
talking in this
good.
way.
This was fun.
Yeah, nice way of just checking in here and talking about this cool game we're doing.
I wasn't sure what to expect, but no, it was really chill and it was good chat.
Yeah. And I hope anyone else is curious about playing Council of Thieves or Pathfinder. We gave some pretty good reasons as to why Pathfinder is unique and why we particularly like it, what are its strengths, what are the challenges we're facing, and how we're going through them. We talked about how we view our characters and how other people view our characters, and hopefully in a way that was just curious enough and not too spoilery. And again, we're 5 episodes in at the point of this recording. And then we talked to our future selves. Words of encouragement, words of strength, a little bit of admonishment, but it's okay. Came from a place of love. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for supporting Twilight's Edge, a production of Tumble Through, available wherever you listen your podcasts. I'm sure that all links to our socials and how to support us are going to be included in the description below. And signing off, I've been Aida. My pronouns are she and her. Punch, flurry of blows. Sombra is awesome. Who else was here?
Hi, I've been Anna, and you can we play Lowen. That's all I have. I don't have a lot right now. That's it.
I've been Markus, pronouns are he, him, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of my cozy little orc with all of you.
I'm Evan, pronouns him, and I am playing Nico, my big huggable green machine. You'll be able to get all merch related to Fugo and Nico from our Etsy store. So other stores are available as well. But yeah,
Hands for Fugo.
Hashtag hands for Fugo.
I'm wearing a shirt that says that next episode. I swear to you, hands for Fugo.
Brilliant. All right. Till next time. Bye.
Bye. Tumble through.
Tumble through.